Hello, this is Greg Partika, and I would like to show you a simple modeling tool that we've made available from the Open Geosolutions website. It lets you define a layering profile and a wavelet shape, then examine the impedance and reflectivity responses for that profile in both time and frequency. The layering and the filter shape are easily adjusted so that you can investigate the interplay with respect to resolution and detection. On startup, the WebApp comes up with a default set of parameters, and you can simply hit the Calculate and Display button to see a go-by example. The profiles are defined by a series of time impedance pairs, for example as shown here. The first pair represents the background impedance, which is 1, and the start time of the first layer, which is 200. The last pair represents the end time, which is 230 milliseconds, and the last impedance block, which has a value of 2. The background impedance value, which is 1, is also assigned to times beyond the end of this last block. The filter parameters are defined as either Ormsby, F1, F2, F3, and F4 corner points, or as a Richter peak frequency. In this starting case, the filter is a 4, 8, 40, 90 Hz Ormsby filter. The impedance profile is a two-layer case with a 4 millisecond hard layer followed by another 20 millisecond hard layer separated by 6 milliseconds. For the spectral decomposition, the default parameters are a 100 millisecond analysis window from 165 milliseconds to 265 milliseconds with a 10% cosine taper. On the upper left, you see the impedance profile in time, both filtered in blue and unfiltered in red. On the lower left, you see the reflectivity version of the profile, and this is also filtered in blue and unfiltered in red. On the right, you have a spectral decomposition of the profiles, analytical, as well as the windowed discrete Fourier transform version based on the windowing parameters as specified here. Now there are two additional displays at the bottom. If I scroll down, these show the time and frequency domain representations of the impulse response. Now with a starting point model defined, you can start playing what-if games, changing up the profile, the filter, or the spectral decomposition window. For example, I can decrease the impedance of the first layer from 2 to 1.5. Just hit the Calculate and Display, and you can see the impact of that on both the time and frequency response and also on the impedance versus reflectivity response. Or you can, for example, change the high end of your filter. Right now it's set to be 40, 90, F3, F4. What if I change the F4 position to 50 Hz? Once again, Calculate and Display, and you can see the loss of resolution when you start changing that value. Now to illustrate the functionality, I captured some screenshots for a few scenarios. For example, here is one animation that shows what happens as you progressively change the F3 and F4 position for one particular set of layering. So here we are animating with F3 and F4 position of 80 to 100 Hz and slowly bringing that down 10 Hz at a time. And you can see the effect of that both in time and in frequency. Or you can, for example, change the slope of the high-end filter. Here we're keeping the F4 position in the Ormsby the same, that is 60 Hz, but the F3 is being changed by 5 Hz at a time. Here's another animation. This time we're changing the impedance value of that first layer to see the impact on the interference, both in time and frequency. Where we started with that first layer with an impedance value of the background, which is 1, and slowly raised it up to 2.6, I believe, or 2.8. Here's another animation where we're progressively moving that first layer, the start of the first layer, into progressively larger start time, and eventually decreasing the thickness of the overall package. And then here is the case of changing the thickness of the first layer and the impact of that. So just to wrap things up, forward modeling is an important component of interpretation and processing. It leads to better understanding of uncertainty, a better evaluation of multiple working hypotheses. This is a simple-to-use reconnaissance tool, and it lets you get an appreciation of sensitivity, resolution, and detection for your target zone. Thanks very much for your time and interest.